Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Yes, it's a bumpy truck ride. I haven't done one for a while, and you know, some of you are okay with it. Some of you, it drives you nuts. I don't know what to say. Sometimes maybe I do things just to drive people nuts. If you don't believe me, ask my wife. I know I've been talking about this for the last couple of days, but this thing with Iran and Israel is looking like it's really heating up. And if this happens, boy, there's so many things that could go wrong here. As of the recording of this video, there's not been any strikes against Israel by Iran, but they're saying that they will retaliate because of Israel hitting their consulate office in Damascus. Israel has notified the United States and said if Iran does this, if they strike Israel's sovereign soil, then Israel will retaliate. We'll take it to the next level. Does that mean a big war starts? Who knows? There's all kinds of reports, and you know, when these kind of things happen, it was kind of like with Russia and Ukraine, and then Israel and Gaza. You know, there's tons of reports pouring in. I feel like I got something on my face here. Sorry, driving me nuts. Probably a stray wild beard hair. You get those sometimes. You guys that have beards, you know what they are. All of a sudden you'll get one that's just doing its own thing. But we get these reports of all this stuff, and you kind of have to filter through, and you don't know what's real and what's not. So I think some people are just posting things sometimes so that they can get attention and more views and clicks and likes and all that kind of stuff. So trying to filter through and figure out as much as you can what's legitimate, it does appear that Israel, Iran, Russia are all kind of moving their military. You know, there's movement. They're moving ships. They're moving planes. They're moving bombs, missiles. You know, all that kind of stuff, which is typically what one does when they're getting ready for some type of attack or to attack someone. So it does look like things are kind of heating up in that direction, and if it does happen, it could spiral out of control. Israel has made it pretty clear that they're not going to stand for anything Iran's doing, but on the same hand, Iran has made it clear that they're not going to stand for their people being attacked and blown up by Israel. And I'm not saying one is right and the other's wrong or whatever. I'm just saying it like it is. You and I, it's going to affect us. I don't think that something like this is going to happen and not affect us. I think that we are watching possibly the beginnings of a large war. And if it does happen, I think it could spiral out of control quite quickly. Already with what Israel and Gaza, what's been going on there, where Israel has kind of taken it to a whole new level in Gaza. There's a lot of people that aren't very happy with them and that are wanting to kind of slap them on the wrist at the very least, and maybe, you know, run them into the ground. So is this that chance? Is this what's going to happen? I don't know. But we need to be kind of getting ourselves prepared for it. I did see that Germany, I can't remember, I think it was their Ministry of Defense or whatever, is now telling the people that they need to start preparing for a draft, basically, that they need to start preparing for some kind of compulsory military service. That's coming. If something pops off in the Middle East between Iran and Israel, I'd say that eventually the United States will probably see it drafted. It almost has to happen. There's either going to be a draft, or they're going to start opening the doors and maybe drafting all of these illegals that are coming across the border, which in my opinion is even worse of a solution, because now you've got our militaries filled with illegals that have no allegiance whatsoever to the United States, its people, the Constitution, or anything. So, you know, the possibility of things kind of spiraling is very real. Oil has skyrocketed today. Brent crude oil broke above $90 today. and it's traveling upwards. Gold and silver are doing the same thing. They've been doing that for a while. There's a lot of indicators that there's just instability right now in everything. I know that that's been the case for a while now, but it does look like it is worsening, not getting better. And considering everything that's going on, that the tensions that are building right now in the Middle East, but certainly it's been the same way with Russia and Ukraine, and even China and Taiwan, well, things could start getting hairy soon. I mean, we could sit and talk about it all day long and mention all these different things, but I think that really what you and I need to be focusing on is our own preparations. You and I can't stop World War III, right? We're not going to fix what's going on in Israel and Iran or Russia and Ukraine or whatever. We're not going to fix what's going on in Washington. I mean, you could make an argument that, well, we could vote a new president in, and even if that could happen, and even if that would actually change things, that's months and months away. So right now, the best thing that you and I can do is preparations. Mental preparations, obviously. Spiritual preparations, but also physical preparations. You know, you need to make sure that you have, at the very, very, very minimum, 30 days of food and water in your home. You need to be able to kind of lock the doors and close yourself off for a minimum of 4 to 6 weeks. Do you have that capability to just completely close the doors and lock yourself off? Food is actually the easiest thing to prepare for in that scenario. Water's going to be the harder one. You know, you need more water than you think, and water takes up a lot of space and a lot of weight. So, you know, for every person in your home, you know, you're looking at 15 gallons of water a week. And that's not a lot of water, but it's going to take up a lot of space. So you're talking a lot of water. Food, you know, some canned food, make it simple. You know, oatmeal, canned food, rice. You need to make sure that you can stay warm. Some of you are still experiencing winter, and if that's the case, until winter is completely over, until the cold weather's completely over, you're going to need to fix that. Need to have a way to cook food. You need to have some medicine on hand, over-the-counter medicines. You need to have your medical stuff, injury, you know, first aid kind of items squared away really well. I would be stocking up on fuel. It doesn't hurt to have 15, 20, 30 gallons of gasoline or diesel, whatever it is that you use, at minimum stored away, and keeping your fuel tanks topped off. Making sure that your batteries are all charged up, you know, your flashlight batteries, that kind of stuff. Communications. You need to have some communications. Wow, just so happens I have a whole stack of communications of comms. You know, we got comms there, we got comms here. Make sure you have them, that you can communicate with your family and with the people around you. And then you should have a way to just listen in, you know, like a scanner. You can get scanners really not that expensive, and if you know what you're doing, you can take one of these bow things and use them like a scanner. But you need to be able to hear what's going on, get as much information, because there could be some kind of cyber attack or grid attack. There's all kinds of scenarios that you need to have. Make sure you have defense tools, right? Make sure you have your guns and stocked up on some ammo, and make sure you know how to use it, and run through some drills on, you know, quickly deploying that in a defensive manner of your property. Run through drills with your family in general. What are you going to do if everything just stops like that? And now I know that's probably not the likely scenario, that it's just a light switch turning off, but it's possible. And even if it doesn't just completely turn off like a light switch, if there was some type of major attack or major just expansion in either Russia, Ukraine, or Israel, Iran, or something like that, it could cause people to very quickly go into panic, which could overwhelm the cell phone towers, which could overwhelm the grid. There could be, you know, attacks here at home simultaneously while you see things going on in the Middle East. grocery stores, gas stations could be overwhelmed. I mean, they're already talking about that next, was it Monday or Tuesday, for the eclipse. All these counties and states have emergency warnings out for that. Well, it could get crazy just because of that and more. So run through drills on what you're going to do. You know, if you're away from home at work, how are you going to get home? How are you going to communicate with your husband or your wife or your children? You know, if they're at work, or if they're at a friend's, or they're at school, or whatever it is, how are you going to get everyone home? Know how you're going to do it. Have a plan. If your plan is to lock yourself in the house for a while and shut things down, go through that plan. Figure it out. Go through your stuff. You know, if you've been a prepper for a while, maybe you haven't kind of looked through your things in a while. Kind of go through it, make sure it's all functioning and ready to go. I'm not saying this to cause anyone to go into a panic or to think that, oh my goodness, it's happening right now. No, that's not the point. The point is that, you know, there's an elevated alert, is the best way that I could put it. Doesn't mean that it is going to happen. I'm just saying that there's an elevated alert right now, and we want to stay on top of it. This is just part of emergency preparedness. I mean, I do this all the time. Our department does this all the time. You know, if there's a storm, or if there's something going on that's out of the ordinary, you know, we go through and make sure that we're all ready. This is just how things should be done for most people. And so you need to go through some drills, go through your stuff, make sure it's all topped off, ready to go, and you're prepared for that. That's part of preparedness. Preparedness isn't just sticking stuff in buckets in the closet and forgetting about it. Preparedness is actively getting into a state of readiness, especially when you know that there's an increased possibility that things could go south. Right now, we're in that increased possibility. Not guaranteed, but it is increased. And so looking at what's going on and the hype and the kind of the fear that's going on, it would be advisable to get ready, because this is, I would say that people would panic more if something really kind of exploded, figuratively or literally, between Iran and Israel right now than they would if Russia and Ukraine. I think people are kind of numbed to what's been going on there. But if something really happened between Israel and Iran, it could cause a certain amount of the population to just kind of go into a panic and react. And we need to be ready for that. It's time to get your houses in order, to prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.